Imagine standing at the crossroads of the world, where Europe meets Asia, where caravans carry silk and spices, where armies march and faiths collide. Imagine an empire that controlled this crossroads for centuries, shaping trade, warfare, religion, and the destiny of nations. This empire did not begin with marble palaces or massive armies. It began with a small group of warriors on the edge of chaos. This is not a myth. This is not a legend passed down through folklore. This is real history. And today, on Echoes of Times, we travel back to the Middle Ages to uncover how the Ottomans rose from obscurity to become one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. At the end of the 13th century, Anatolia was a land of broken power. The once mighty Seljuk Turks had collapsed under Mongol pressure, leaving behind a patchwork of small rival states. These territories were unstable, constantly fighting each other for survival. In this violent frontier lived a minor tribal leader named Osman. He ruled no great city, commanded no massive army. His land sat between the Islamic world and the weakening Byzantine Empire. It's a dangerous borderland, where raids were common and survival depended on strength and loyalty. What Osman possessed was not wealth, but vision. He understood that borders are opportunities, and chaos rewards those bold enough to act. Osman's followers were warriors, farmers, converts, and adventurers. They were drawn not by riches, but by the promise of belonging and purpose. Osman rewarded loyalty over lineage, courage over class. Anyone who proved themselves could rise. This was revolutionary in a medieval world dominated by birthright. As Osman's band raided Byzantine lands, they gained territory, resources, and reputation. Every victory attracted new fighters. Slowly, almost unnoticed by the great powers of the time, a new force was forming. If stories like this fascinate you, take a moment to subscribe to Echoes of Times. This channel is dedicated to bringing the forgotten voices of history back to life, telling the stories that shaped our world long before our time. What truly set the early Ottomans apart was their adaptability. They did not cling rigidly to tradition. It learned from enemies, adopted new tactics, and absorbed different cultures. They used Byzantine administrators, Islamic scholars, and Turkic warriors together under one system. This flexibility allowed them to grow while others stagnated. As the Byzantine Empire weakened under internal conflict and economic strain, Ottoman forces advanced steadily. Villages fell, then towns, then fortified cities. The Ottomans were no longer raiders. They were rulers. By the early 14th century, the Ottomans captured Bursa, their first major city. It became their capital and symbolized their transformation from a tribal force into a state. From Bursa, they organized taxation, administration, and military command. Roads were improved, markets expanded, and governance became more centralized. This was empire building in real time. Soon, the Ottomans did something no one expected. They crossed into Europe. The Dardanelles, once a barrier, became a gateway. Ottoman troops entered the Balkans, a region divided by rival Christian kingdoms that often fought each other instead of uniting against the new threat. European leaders underestimated the Ottomans, believing them to be temporary invaders who would eventually retreat. That assumption proved to be one of the greatest miscalculations of the Middle Ages. The Ottomans did not retreat. They settled. They built forts, cities, and supply lines. They learned European terrain and warfare. Their capital moved from Bursa to Adorn, placing the heart of their empire firmly in Europe. This shocked the medieval world. Muslim power was now permanently established on European soil, and it was growing stronger every year. One of the greatest innovations of the Ottoman system was the creation of a standing army. While European kingdoms relied heavily on feudal levies, knights who served temporarily, the Ottomans developed a permanent professional military. At its core were the Janissaries. These soldiers were recruited through the Devshirme system, taken as young boys, converted, educated, and trained with absolute discipline. Their loyalty was not to family or land, but to the Sultan himself. This created a level of unity and effectiveness unmatched by any medieval army. The Janissaries trained year-round, mastered firearms early, and fought as a coordinated unit. On the battlefield, this gave the Ottomans a decisive edge. One by one, Balkan states fell. Serbia, Bulgaria, and large parts of Greece came under Ottoman control. Each victory expanded not just territory, but influence and confidence. Then came the city that defined an era, Constantinople. For more than 1,000 years, its massive walls had protected it from countless invaders. It was the capital of the Byzantine Empire, the symbolic heart of Eastern Christianity, and one of the richest cities in the world. Many believed it was untouchable. In 1453, a young and ambitious sultan named Mehmed II decided to challenge that belief. Mehmed prepared carefully. He studied the city's defenses, hired engineers, and built massive cannons unlike anything seen before. These cannons could shatter walls that had stood since Roman times. When the siege began, it was relentless. For weeks, Ottoman artillery pounded the walls while soldiers attacked day and night. Finally, the defenses broke. Constantinople fell. The impact was enormous. For many historians, this moment marked the end of the Middle Ages. The Byzantine Empire was gone. Constantinople became Istanbul, the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. Mehmed did not destroy the city. Instead, he transformed it. He encouraged people of all faiths to return, restored trade, rebuilt infrastructure, and turned Istanbul into one of the greatest cities on earth. Under Ottoman rule, Istanbul became a center of learning, commerce, and culture. Mosques rose beside churches. Markets connected Asia and Europe. Scholars, artists, and merchants arrived from across the world. The Ottomans now controlled one of the most strategic cities in history, along with the trade routes that passed through it. The empire continued to expand, reaching its peak under Suleiman, the Magnificent, in the 16th century. Suleiman was not only a conqueror, but a lawgiver. He reformed the legal system, standardized administration, and strengthened institutions. Under his rule, the Ottoman Empire stretched from Central Europe to the Arabian Peninsula, from North Africa to the borders of Persia. What made the Ottomans unique was their ability to rule diversity. Christians, Jews, and Muslims lived under Ottoman authority with relative autonomy. Communities governed themselves in religious and legal matters as long as they paid taxes and remained loyal. This system created stability across vast and varied territories. Trade flourished. Ottoman merchants connected Europe with Asia and Africa. Spices, silk, gold, and ideas flowed through Ottoman lands. Architecture reached new heights, with grand mosques, bridges, and public works that still stand today. During this era, the Ottomans were not just a military power, but a civilization at its height. But no empire remains unchallenged forever. As Europe entered the Renaissance, and later the Industrial Age, innovation accelerated. New technologies, economic systems, and political ideas emerged. The Ottomans, once pioneers, began to slow. Internal corruption increased. The Janissaries, once elite soldiers, gained political influence and resisted reform. Wars with European powers drained resources and exposed weaknesses. Still, during the Middle Ages, the Ottoman Empire was unmatched in scale, organization, and influence. It shaped borders, cultures, and histories that continue to affect our world today. Many modern nations exist because of Ottoman rule, resistance, or legacy. This raises a powerful question. Was the Ottoman Empire a victim of its own success, or did the world simply change faster than it could adapt? If this journey through history changed the way you see the Middle Ages, leave a comment and tell us which empire you want Echoes of Times to explore next. Share this video with someone who loves epic stories but thinks history is boring. Because history is not just about dates and battles. It's about people, choices, ambition, and consequence. And at Echoes of Times, we believe the echoes of great empires still shape the world we live in today.